There is a conversation happening inside you right now. It has been happening for years, quietly, persistently, in the language of tight shoulders and shallow breath, in the language of a jaw that never fully unclenches, in the heaviness behind your eyes at 2 in the afternoon when you haven't done anything wrong, haven't worked that hard, haven't had any reason, by any logical measure, to feel this tired. Your body has been talking to you for a long time. And most of us, through no fault of our own, were never taught how to listen. We were taught to push through, to manage, to think our way out of physical discomfort, to rationalize the tension, to tell ourselves it's nothing, it's stress, everyone feels like this, it'll pass when things calm down. But things don't calm down, they just change shape. And the body keeps talking, a little louder each time, hoping that eventually someone inside will finally stop moving long enough to hear it. This is that moment. What follows isn't a list of tips. It isn't advice you need to write down and implement. It's something quieter than that. It's an invitation to understand, really understand, the relationship between your body and your mind, how they speak to each other, how they break down together. And how, when you finally learn to hear both of them at the same time, something in you that has been braced for a very long time begins, slowly, gently, to let go. There are 10 stages to this, 10 ways the body-mind relationship reveals itself, especially in people carrying stress, anxiety, and the particular exhaustion of a life lived mostly in the head. Take your time with each one. Some of them will feel like recognition. Some will feel like relief. Some might feel like being seen by something you didn't expect to be seen by. All of that is welcome here. Let's begin. Stage 1. The split. Somewhere along the way, most of us learned to live above the neck. It happened gradually. School rewarded thinking, not feeling. Workplaces rewarded output, not presence. The people around us modeled a particular way of moving through difficulty. Head down, push forward, don't make a fuss. And we absorbed it so completely that it stopped feeling like a choice and started feeling like just who we are. Analytical, rational, someone who handles things. And there's real strength in that, genuine, hard-earned strength. But there's also a cost that rarely gets named. When you live primarily in your mind, when thoughts become the primary way you navigate your experience, the body starts to feel like a vehicle rather than a home. Something you maintain minimally, fuel when necessary, push when required. A means to an end rather than a living, sensing, communicating system that is constantly, without pause, giving you information about your actual state. The split between mind and body isn't dramatic. It doesn't happen all at once. It accumulates in small decisions: to ignore the headache and finish the report, to skip the walk because there isn't time, to eat lunch at the desk, to sleep less because there's more to do, to override the signal that says slow down with the thought that says not yet. Over time, those small decisions build a wall, and on one side of that wall is everything your mind is managing, and on the other side is everything your body is actually experiencing. And the wall gets thicker the longer it stands. This is where most people reading this currently live. Not in crisis, not in collapse, just quietly split, functioning on the outside, carrying something unaddressed on the inside, and vaguely, persistently aware that something is slightly off without quite being able to name what it is. What's off is the connection. And rebuilding it starts not with doing something different, but with understanding what happened in the first place. Stage 2. The first signal. The body's first language is sensation, not emotion, sensation. Before anything becomes a feeling you can name, it begins as a physical event somewhere in the body. A tightening, a heaviness, a quickening, a hollowness, a pressure behind the sternum that has no obvious external cause. These sensations are not random. They are not malfunction. They are the body's primary communication system, the first draft of a message that, if received and understood, never needs to escalate into anything more disruptive. Think about the last time something went wrong before you consciously knew it had. Maybe it was a conversation that seemed fine on the surface, but left you with a strange feeling in your stomach. Maybe it was a decision you made with your head while something in your chest quietly disagreed. Maybe it was a relationship that looked reasonable by every external measure, but produced a persistent low-grade tension in your body that you kept explaining away. That sensation was information. Not irrational noise to be managed, not anxiety to be suppressed. Information. Your nervous system, which processes environmental and social data far faster than your conscious mind, had already assessed the situation and sent a report. And the report came in the form of a feeling in your body, not a sentence in your head. Most of us, trained as we are to trust logic over sensation, filed that report under feelings, which we've been taught to treat as unreliable, subjective, and secondary to thought. And we overrode it. We made the decision our mind had already made before the body finished speaking. And sometimes that works out fine. But sometimes, often for people carrying chronic stress, that pattern of overriding sensation becomes so automatic that the body has to escalate. It sends the same message louder, more insistently, in ways that are harder to explain away. That escalation is what the next stages are about. Stage 3. The language of tension. Muscle tension is one of the most common and most overlooked forms of emotional storage. This is not metaphor. This is physiology. When you experience a stressful event, an argument, a difficult conversation, a moment of fear, a sustained period of pressure, your nervous system activates what's called the stress response. Muscles contract, breath shortens, the body prepares for action, for fight or flight, for some physical response to a perceived threat. But most modern stress doesn't have a physical resolution. The argument ends, but your shoulders stay raised toward your ears. The difficult conversation is over, but your stomach remains tight for the rest of the day, the rest of the week, longer. The stress response activated, the resolution never came, and the tension stayed. Over time, this becomes the new normal. You stop noticing the tightness in your neck because it's been there so long it feels like just the way your neck is. You stop registering the chronic tension in your lower back because you've attributed it to posture, to the chair, to getting older. You stop connecting the headaches to the stress because there's always been stress, and the headaches have become just another feature of your daily life. But your body hasn't stopped noticing. It's been keeping a record. Every unresolved stress event, every emotion that was felt and then suppressed rather than processed, every moment where the body prepared to respond and then was told to stand down without completing the cycle, it lives somewhere. Usually in the muscles, usually in the places you've stopped paying attention to because they've been uncomfortable for so long. Take a moment right now, just a moment, and notice your shoulders. Are they where they should be? Or are they slightly raised, slightly braced for something that may not be coming? That readiness, that chronic low-level bracing, that is your body holding what your mind decided not to deal with. And it's been holding it patiently, faithfully, for however long you've been asking it to. Stage 4. When the body speaks louder. There comes a point, different for everyone but inevitable for most, when the body stops whispering. You've been tired in a way that sleep doesn't fix, not sleepy tired, tired in a deeper way, in the bones, in the motivation, in the part of you that used to find things interesting and now just finds them manageable at best. Or maybe it's the physical symptoms that arrive without a clear medical explanation, the digestive issues that flare up during stressful periods, the skin that breaks out when things get hard, the immune system that fails reliably whenever you finally stop moving, as if your body was waiting for the first moment of stillness to collapse. These are not separate problems to be solved in isolation. They are the body's escalated communication, the louder version of messages that were sent quietly and went unheard. The research on this is extensive and clear. Chronic psychological stress produces measurable physical changes. It elevates cortisol, the primary stress hormone, which over time suppresses immune function, disrupts sleep architecture, impairs digestion, increases inflammation, and reshapes the brain's threat detection systems to be more sensitive, more reactive, more primed to find danger in ordinary situations. The mind and body are not separate systems that occasionally influence each other. They are one system. What happens in one happens in both. There is no wall between them, even when we've built one in our awareness. And when the body speaks loudly, when the symptoms arrive that can no longer be explained away, it is not betraying you. It is not malfunctioning. It is being extraordinarily honest about the cumulative cost of everything you've been carrying. That honesty deserves a response. Stage 5. The nervous system's story. Underneath everything, underneath the tension and the fatigue and the anxiety and the symptoms, there is a nervous system trying to keep you safe. This is important to understand, not intellectually, but deeply, personally, with genuine compassion for yourself. Your nervous system does not produce stress responses because it is broken. It produces them because it is doing exactly what it was designed to do. It assessed a threat, real or perceived, past or present, specific or accumulated, and it responded. It mobilized your body's resources. It kept you alert, prepared, ready. The problem isn't the response. The problem is that for many people living with chronic stress, the threat assessment system never gets the signal that it's safe to stand down. Think about what it means to live in a state of sustained low-level threat. Your nervous system is running a background program at all times that is consuming enormous amounts of energy. Scanning, monitoring, checking. Is this safe? Is that person okay with me? Is this situation under control? What could go wrong? What haven't I accounted for? This program runs whether you're consciously aware of it or not. It runs while you're in meetings, while you're trying to sleep, while you're eating dinner, while you're watching something that should be relaxing but somehow isn't. And here's what makes it so difficult to recognize from the inside. When you've been running this program for a long time, it stops feeling like stress and starts feeling like personality. It stops feeling like a response and starts feeling like just who you are. Vigilant, conscientious, responsible. Someone who thinks ahead, who doesn't drop the ball, who keeps things together. All of which may be genuinely true, and all of which may also be a nervous system that hasn't rested in years, expressing itself in the language of high-functioning anxiety. You are not too sensitive. You are not inherently anxious. You are not broken. You are a person whose nervous system learned, through real experience, that vigilance was necessary. And it has been loyal to that learning ever since, long past the point where the original circumstances required it. Say this slowly to yourself. My body is not my enemy. It has been protecting me the only way it knew how. Stage 6. What emotions do in the body. Emotions are not psychological events that occasionally produce physical side effects. They are physical events, full stop. When you feel fear, your adrenal glands release adrenaline and cortisol. Your heart rate increases. Blood flow redirects to your large muscle groups. Your pupils dilate. Your digestion slows. These are not metaphors for fear. These are fear, expressed in the body's primary language. When you feel grief, your throat tightens, your chest contracts, your breathing changes. People describe grief as heaviness, as weight, as something physically pressing on them, and they're not being poetic. The parasympathetic nervous system slows the body in response to loss in ways that produce genuine physical sensation. When you feel joy, real, unguarded, uncomplicated joy, your chest opens, your breath deepens, tension you didn't know you were holding releases, the body expands. Every emotion has a physical signature, every single one. And the reason this matters so much for people carrying stress and anxiety is this: when emotions are not expressed, when they are suppressed, managed, pushed down, intellectualized, or simply never given space, they don't disappear. They complete their physical activation and then get stuck there in the body as incomplete biological events waiting for resolution. This is why you can think your way through something intellectually, can understand it completely, can have processed it in every direction, and still feel it in your body as if it's unresolved. Because for the body, it is. The thought changed, the physical charge didn't discharge. The path through this isn't more thinking, it's the thing most of us find hardest: feeling. Actually, physically, in the body, allowing the sensation of the emotion to exist without immediately managing it, labeling it, or making it mean something that requires a response. Just feeling it, for long enough that the body completes what it started. This sounds simple. For many people, it is one of the hardest things they will ever practice. Stage 7. The gut and the brain. There is a reason we talk about gut feelings. The enteric nervous system, the network of neurons lining your digestive tract, contains roughly 500 million nerve cells. It communicates directly with the brain via the vagus nerve, sending signals upward that influence mood, anxiety levels, stress responses, and even cognitive function. Your gut is not just digesting food, it is processing experience. When you're anxious, your digestion changes. When you're grieving, your appetite shifts. When you're in a situation that feels wrong before your mind has articulated why, your stomach knows first. This isn't coincidence or metaphor. This is a sophisticated biological communication system that evolved long before the prefrontal cortex, the rational reasoning part of the brain, ever developed. For people dealing with chronic stress, the gut-brain connection becomes particularly significant. Sustained cortisol elevation directly affects gut permeability, microbiome composition, and digestive function. Anxiety manifests in the gut so reliably that many people with anxiety disorders experience significant gastrointestinal symptoms, not as a secondary effect, but as a simultaneous one. And here's what this means practically. When you're trying to heal from chronic stress and you're eating in ways that inflame the gut, sleeping in ways that disrupt the gut-brain axis, and moving in ways that never activate the vagal tone that calms both systems, you are working against your own biology, regardless of how much psychological work you're doing. The body is not separate from the healing. The body is where the healing actually happens. Nourishing the gut, regulating sleep, breathing deeply, moving the body, these are not lifestyle suggestions. They are direct interventions in the body-mind system. They speak the language the system actually understands. Stage 8. Breath as the bridge. Of all the body's signals, breath is the most immediate and the most accessible. It is the one physiological process that operates both automatically and voluntarily. Your heart rate, your digestion, your hormone levels, you cannot consciously direct these in the moment, but your breath, you can, right now, instantly. And through that voluntary control, you have direct access to your autonomic nervous system, the system that governs whether you're in a state of stress activation or rest and restoration. When you're anxious, your breath becomes shallow and fast, drawing primarily into the upper chest. This breathing pattern itself signals danger to the nervous system. It confirms the threat response, keeps cortisol elevated, and maintains the state of activation. When you breathe slowly and deeply, drawing breath into the lower belly, extending the exhale longer than the inhale, the vagus nerve activates, the parasympathetic nervous system engages. The body receives a clear physiological signal. We are safe. We can rest. The threat has passed. This is not relaxation as a nice idea. This is neurological reality. The exhale specifically is where the calming happens. A longer exhale than inhale directly stimulates the vagus nerve in a way that downregulates the stress response. 6 seconds in, 8 seconds out. Practiced consistently, not just in moments of crisis, but as a daily recalibration, this breathing pattern physically reshapes how reactive your nervous system is over time. Your breath is the bridge between your mind and your body. It exists in both places simultaneously, and learning to use it consciously is not a spiritual practice divorced from science. It is one of the most evidence-supported interventions available for chronic stress and anxiety, accessible to you at any moment, at zero cost, without a prescription or a waiting list. You have been breathing your whole life. You can start breathing differently today. Stage 9. The body remembers. There are things your body holds that your mind has moved past. Not repressed, not hidden from you, simply held in a different place. In patterns of tension that developed during a difficult period and never released when the period ended. In a startle response that was calibrated during a time when the environment was unpredictable and hasn't recalibrated since. In the way you still brace slightly in certain kinds of conversations, even though the person who made those conversations dangerous is no longer in your life. The body is not dramatic about this. It doesn't announce that it's still holding something. It just holds it. Quietly, patiently, in posture, in breathing patterns, in the way you move through space, in the involuntary responses that arise in situations that rhyme with old ones, even when they're not the same. This is not weakness. This is the body doing its job, keeping a record of what was dangerous, building automatic protections, ensuring that threats which appeared once will be recognized faster if they appear again. The problem is not the memory. The problem is when the memory keeps shaping the present even after the present has changed. And the path through this is not more thought. It is not understanding the trauma better with your mind. It is working directly with the body, with movement, with breath, with gentle, sustained attention to the places that are still holding, and giving the nervous system new experiences that gradually update the record. The body learns through experience. It unlearns through new experience. You cannot think your way out of what your body learned through living, but you can live your way through it, slowly, with patience, with the understanding that the body is not your obstacle, it is your ally. It has been keeping you safe in the only ways it knew how, and now, with care, you can teach it that safety looks different now. Stage 10. Coming home. There is a particular quality to the moment when a person stops fighting their body and starts listening to it. It isn't dramatic. It doesn't arrive with a revelation or a sudden release of everything that's been held. It comes more quietly than that, as a softening, a small, almost imperceptible easing of something that has been braced for a long time. It might come during a walk where you really notice, the sensation of your feet on the ground. It might come in a moment of stillness, where instead of immediately reaching for your phone, you just sit with what's actually present in your body and find that it's manageable. More than manageable. That there's something real and grounding in simply being in your body, fully, without agenda. It might come when you finally feel something you've been managing for months. Let yourself feel it, in the body, without trying to fix it or explain it or make it go away, and discover that feeling it fully, even though it's uncomfortable, is somehow less exhausting than carrying it unopened. The relationship between mind and body is not a problem to be solved. It is a relationship to be tended. Like any relationship, it requires attention, honesty, and a willingness to hear things you might not have been ready to hear before. Your body has been your most faithful companion through everything you've ever experienced, every difficulty, every loss, every period of prolonged stress. It carried you through all of it. Not perfectly, not without cost, but completely. It is still here, still talking, still sending signals that, if you learn to receive them, will guide you more reliably than almost anything else. The mind is brilliant at analysis, at planning, at building frameworks for understanding, but the body knows something the mind can't access through thinking alone. It knows what's actually true right now, in this moment, in this life you're actually living, rather than the one you're managing in your head. The path from stress and disconnection to calm and wholeness is not a straight line. It doesn't happen all at once, and it doesn't require perfection. It requires only this, a willingness to stop with some regularity and ask your body what it's been trying to tell you. And then, this is the part most people skip, actually listen. You came into this carrying something, maybe something you've been carrying for a long time, so long that you've stopped noticing the weight. What I hope you're leaving with is something simpler and more useful than information. I hope you're leaving with a different relationship to the signals that have been arriving in your body all along. They were never noise. They were never weakness. They were never something to push past on the way to being more productive or more functional or more fine. They were always communication, from the most honest part of you to the part that needed to hear it most. You are not split. You are one thing, a mind and a body in a conversation that never stops. And the moment you join that conversation consciously, something shifts. Not all at once, but really. If this reached you today, if something in it felt like a hand on the shoulder you didn't know you needed, share it with someone who's been running on empty, someone who's been living in their head and forgetting they have a body. Like it if it gave you something. Subscribe because there is more here that you need, and it will find you when you're ready for it. Your body has been waiting for you to come home. You just did.